My girlfriend said, "You're not my priority right now." When I asked for her time, I said, "That's okay." Then I made someone else my priority instead, and it hit her harder than she expected. Background: I, 28 male, work as a financial analyst at a mid-sized investment firm, making about $92,000. Not rich, but comfortable enough. Been grinding since college. Started as an intern making $18 an hour. Worked nights studying for my CFA certification. Analyzed market trends until my eyes bled. Climbed the corporate ladder one spreadsheet at a time. I'm the guy who actually reads annual reports for fun and can spot financial red flags from a mile away. Grew up middle class in Ohio. Dad's a mechanic. Mom works at the post office. They taught me that money doesn't grow on trees, and you earn every dollar you get. Paid my own way through college with loans and a part-time job doing tax prep for people who thought capital gains was some kind of vitamin supplement. This story is about my ex-girlfriend Madison and how she learned that treating someone like a human ATM has consequences. Buckle up, because this gets good. I met Madison about 3 years ago through a mutual friend's party. She was stunning, like stop mid-conversation and stare stunning. Blonde, perfect smile, one of those girls who knows exactly how good she looks and uses it like a weapon of mass attraction. The kind of woman who could make guys forget their own names just by making eye contact. She worked in luxury real estate marketing, which basically meant she took Instagram photos of expensive houses and posted them with captions like, "Living my best life, power blessed realtor, luxury lifestyle." Made about $38,000 a year, but somehow always had designer bags. Drove a leased BMW she definitely couldn't afford on her salary, and maintained a lifestyle that should have required at least twice her income. Red flags everywhere, but I was too smitten to notice. The first few months were incredible. She was charming, funny, seemed genuinely interested in my work. Would ask me about market trends, investment strategies, even claimed she wanted to learn about building wealth together. I thought I'd found someone who shared my financial goals and understood the importance of planning for the future. First red flag? Our third date. Nice restaurant. I'm thinking we're splitting the check like normal adults. Bill comes, she doesn't even reach for her purse. Just sits there scrolling Instagram while I pay $175 for dinner she barely touched because she was watching her figure. But I was thinking with the wrong head, so I ignored it. At first, she seemed impressed by my career. Financial analyst? That's so smart. You must make really good money. Should have known right then that she was calculating my net worth, not actually interested in what I did for a living. The relationship moved fast. Within 6 months, she was practically living at my downtown apartment. Started small, forgot her wallet at dinner, needed help with her car payment. Rent was unexpectedly high that month. I was the classic nice guy, thinking I was being supportive and caring. By year 2, I was basically subsidizing her entire lifestyle. Her rent, $1,450 a month for a place way above her means. Car payment, $535. Insurance, $180. Groceries, $400 plus weekly because she only bought organic. Everything. Dinners out, always expensive places she chose. Her credit card bills when she overspent just a tiny bit, usually $800 to $1,200 monthly. Spa treatments, designer clothes, and random emergencies that always seem to coincide with new product launches at her favorite stores. I'm talking probably $3,200 plus a month on top of my own expenses. But the real kicker was her attitude about it. She never said thank you, never acted grateful, never acknowledged the sacrifice I was making. It was just expected, like I was some kind of human ATM she happened to be sleeping with. She'd Venmo request money with captions like rent due or emergency mani-pedi, like it was cute instead of completely entitled. Babe, can you Venmo me $400? I saw this purse at Nordstrom and it's calling my name. Madison, didn't I just send you money for rent? That's different. This is an investment piece. It'll hold its value. A $400 purse. An investment. Right. Like handbags appreciate like real estate. Meanwhile, I'm over here analyzing actual investments for clients, watching their portfolios grow through smart decisions and discipline. The irony wasn't lost on me. The breaking point came on a random Tuesday night. I was working late, trying to finish a quarterly report that had our entire team stressed. Madison was on the couch, face buried in her phone as usual, probably watching TikToks of other people spending money they didn't have. How was work? I asked, genuinely trying to connect. Ugh, so boring. I had to show 3 houses today and only one was actually worth my time. The other 2 were like, under $750,000. I don't know why my boss makes me waste time on poor people. Poor people. Houses under $750,000. In a city where the median home price was $410,000. Must be tough, I said, going back to my laptop. At least I don't have to do this much longer, she said, not looking up from her phone. What do you mean? That's when she said it. The thing that changed everything. Well, once we get married, I can quit this job and focus on what I actually want to do. Start my lifestyle blog, maybe do some influencer marketing. You make enough for both of us anyway. I stopped typing. We've never talked about marriage. Come on, Jake. We've been together almost 3 years. You're not getting any younger, and I'm not going to wait around forever. Besides, she laughed like it was obvious. What else are you going to do? You're not exactly swimming in options here. The casual cruelty of that statement hit me like a freight train. What else was I going to do? Like she was doing me some kind of favor by letting me pay for her existence. So, I'm what, your retirement plan? Don't be dramatic. You're my financial safety net. Every smart woman has one. Financial safety net. Not boyfriend, not partner, not the guy she loved. A financial safety net. That night, lying in bed, listening to her scroll through social media with the volume up, because of course she did, I made a decision. If I was just a safety net, it was time to see how she handled the free fall. As someone who analyzed risk and reward for a living, I knew exactly what I was dealing with. High maintenance, low return, terrible long-term prospects. Time to cut my losses. The next day at work, I was still processing what Madison had said. Probably looked like someone had told me the stock market crashed, because my cubicle neighbor Tony noticed. Tony Martinez was this 35-year-old guy from the Bronx who'd transferred to our team 6 months ago. Dude was hilarious. Had this way of roasting people that somehow made them feel better about themselves. Plus, he was divorced, so he had experience with women who saw men as walking wallets. Yo, Jake, you look like someone told you your 401k got liquidated. What's going on? I gave him the short version. Madison, the money, the financial safety net comment. Tony leaned back in his chair, shaking his head. Bro, you've been getting played harder than a rigged casino game. I know, nah. You don't know anything yet. Let me tell you about my ex-wife Carmen. Same exact playbook. Started small, then escalated. By the end, I was paying for her, her sister, her mom's cable bill, and her cousin's baby shower. You know what she said when I finally grew some backbone and asked her to contribute? That's what men are for. What did you do? Divorced her and watched her move back in with her mom. But you ain't married, so you got options. Better options. Tony became my unofficial advisor. Dude had this way of seeing through nonsense that I envied. Plus, he was funny as heck, which I needed because my life was starting to feel like a depressing documentary about financial abuse. Here's what you're gonna do, he said during lunch that day. Document everything. Every payment, every Venmo, every time she treats you like an ATM. Then you're gonna stop being one. Just like that? Heck no, not just like that. You're gonna be strategic. Make her show her true colors. Let her dig her own grave, then hand her the shovel. Tony had a gift for metaphors. Over the next few weeks, I started keeping track like any good analyst would. Screenshots of Venmo payments, credit card statements, bank transfer records. Even started recording conversations with my phone when she'd demand money. Not for court or anything, just so I could see the patterns clearly with my analytical mind. I created a comprehensive spreadsheet that would have made my professors proud. The data was absolutely brutal. In the last 6 months alone, I'd given her almost $19,200. That's not including dinners, $2,800, vacations, $4,500 for a trip to Miami, where she insisted on 5-star everything, or the expensive stuff she'd borrowed and never returned. Designer sunglasses worth $400, jewelry totaling $800, and clothes she claimed she'd pay me back for someday. Grand total, $27,700 in 6 months. Nearly half my annual take-home pay was going directly to funding someone else's fantasy lifestyle. $27,700. I could have maxed out my IRA contribution and my 401k, put a substantial down payment on a house, invested it in index funds, and actually built real wealth instead of funding her designer handbag collection that depreciated faster than a new car. Holy cow, Tony said, looking at my spreadsheet. This girl's been treating you like her personal Bank of America. What's she contributing to this relationship besides existing? Good question. What was she contributing? Intimacy was good, but not $19,000 good. She didn't cook, didn't clean, didn't work on her career, didn't support my goals. Her idea of being supportive was liking my Instagram posts sometimes. Meanwhile, I was working 55-plus-hour weeks, handling all the bills, all the planning, all the actual work of maintaining a relationship. She was just there. Looking pretty and spending money. Time for phase 1, Tony announced. The scarcity test. What's that? You're gonna become mysteriously broke. See how she reacts when the ATM stops dispensing cash. I liked Tony's style. Time to conduct a little behavioral experiment. The plan was simple but brilliant. I'd claim to have unexpected expenses and see how Madison handled not getting her usual financial support. Started small. When she asked for money for groceries, I said, "Actually, I'm tight this week. My car needed new brakes, and it was $850. Her face changed instantly, like I'd personally insulted her entire family tree. But I already planned my week around going shopping tomorrow. So go shopping. With your money. Jake, you know I'm between commission checks right now." She was always between commission checks. Somehow never had money but always had new clothes appearing in her closet. Maybe cook something at home. We have food. She looked at me like I'd suggested we eat cardboard sandwiches. I can't eat pasta again. Do you know what carbs do to my skin? This was the woman who once spent $45 on a single smoothie because it had collagen peptides and adaptogenic herbs. Phase 2 was the real test. Madison's birthday was coming up, and she'd been dropping hints about wanting this $2,800 Chanel bag she'd seen. Not subtle hints. She'd literally text me photos of it with heart eye emojis and comments like birthday goals. Week before her birthday, I took her to dinner and dropped the bomb. "So, bad news about your birthday present." Her fork stopped halfway to her mouth. "What kind of bad news?" "Company's restructuring. Nothing's official, but they're cutting budgets everywhere and there might be layoffs. I need to be careful with money right now." Technically, not a lie. There were budget discussions happening, just not affecting my department. "So, no Chanel bag?" I was thinking maybe something more practical. "There's this nice $60 perfume you liked." $60. Down from $2,800. The look on her face was priceless. $60? For my birthday? It's not about the amount. It's about the thought. "Jake, $60 is what I tip my hairstylist. It's not a birthday present. It's an insult." And there it was. The mask slipping completely. This wasn't about the gesture or being thoughtful. It was purely about the price tag. "I'm sorry you feel that way. I don't feel that way. I know that way. My friend Ashley's boyfriend bought her a $3,500 tennis bracelet last month, and they've only been dating 8 months. We've been together 3 years, and you want to give me drugstore perfume?" The comparison game. Classic manipulation tactics straight out of the handbook. Maybe Ashley's boyfriend has different priorities. Yeah, he prioritizes his girlfriend. He acts like a real man. Acts like a real man. Code for spends money on me without question. Tony was right. Scarcity revealed true character. When the money dried up, so did her affection. Her birthday came and went. I got her the $60 perfume and took her to dinner at a mid-range restaurant instead of the fancy steakhouse she'd expected. She spent the entire meal sulking and posting Instagram stories that were clearly directed at me. Some people just don't understand how to treat a queen, watching know your worth, deserve more. Yeah, real subtle there. But the best part was watching her scramble to find other sources of funding. Suddenly, she was texting old male friends she hadn't talked to in years, going out for coffee with guys from her work, having mysterious client dinners that lasted until 2 a.m. "Where were you last night?" I'd ask. "Business dinner with a potential client. Super boring real estate stuff." Right. A business dinner where she came home with a new designer wallet and suspicious marks on her neck she thought I wouldn't notice. I wasn't even mad. I was impressed by how predictable her behavior was. Like watching a case study in financial dependency and manipulation. Tony found the whole thing hilarious. "Bro, she's literally following the gold digger playbook word for word. Next, she's gonna start working late more often and complaining about how you don't appreciate her." He was absolutely right. Within 2 weeks, Madison was staying out 3 nights a week and coming home with an attitude like I'd done something wrong. "You've been distant lately," she said one night. "Just focused on work. You know, trying to keep my job secure." Well, don't take it out on me. I'm dealing with my own stress. Her stress. From what? Taking photos of houses and spending other people's money? But I played along. Let her think she was being clever. Let her dig the hole deeper. Because Tony and I were planning something much bigger. While Madison was busy exploring her options, I was building something better. Started with small changes at home. Stopped buying the expensive groceries she liked. Canceled the premium streaming services. Switched to a cheaper phone plan. Nothing dramatic, just little cost-cutting measures that any responsible person would make during financial uncertainty. Madison noticed immediately. "Why is there no oat milk? You know I can't drink regular milk. Oat milk's $7 a carton. Regular milk's $3. $4, Jake. We're talking about $4. $4 here, $6 there. It adds up quickly." She looked at me like I'd suggested we live in a cardboard box. But the real genius move was reconnecting with my college friend Sarah. I'd mentioned her to Tony, and he had this brilliant idea. "You need to show Madison what she's losing," he said. "Nothing makes a gold digger panic like seeing her meal ticket with someone who actually deserves him." Sarah Chen was everything Madison wasn't. PhD in biochemistry, worked at a pharmaceutical company developing cancer treatments, made her own substantial money, had actual hobbies beyond shopping and Instagram. We dated briefly in college but stayed friends after realizing we worked better that way. She was in town for a conference, so I invited her to dinner. Made sure to post about it on social media. Nothing obvious, just great catching up with old friends, with a photo of us laughing over appetizers. Madison saw it within an hour. "Who's that Asian girl?" "Sarah, college friend." "She's pretty." "Yeah, she's great, really intelligent too. Just got promoted to lead researcher at her company." I watched Madison's face process this information. Another woman, successful, attractive, potentially interested, competition. Suddenly, Madison was being nice again. Nice. Cooking dinner badly, initiating intimacy, asking about my day. All the girlfriend behaviors she'd forgotten how to do when money was flowing freely. "Maybe we should go on a vacation," she suggested. "Rekindle our romance." "With what money?" I thought we were being careful. "Well, maybe just a weekend getaway. Somewhere affordable." Somewhere affordable. Madison had never willingly gone somewhere affordable in her entire life, but I played along. Let her think her charm offensive was working. Meanwhile, Sarah and I were actually reconnecting as friends. She found the whole situation fascinating from an anthropological perspective. "So she only started being affectionate when she perceived competition?" Sarah asked over coffee. "Like clockwork. That's not love, that's resource guarding. Basic psychology." Sarah had a way of cutting through nonsense with scientific precision. Made me realize how toxic my normal had become. Tony was loving every update. "Bro, you got her sweating now. Time for phase 3. Which is? The ultimatum. Make her choose between you and her ridiculous lifestyle." "How?" "Easy. Tell her you're ready to get serious, but only if she starts contributing like an actual partner. Watch her run for the hills." I liked where this was heading. 2 weeks after Sarah's visit, I sat Madison down for the talk. Made it sound romantic. Candles, nice dinner at home, that I'd actually cooked myself. Something I'd started doing more to save money. The whole setup. She probably thought I was finally going to propose and secure her financial future permanently. "Madison, I've been thinking about us. About our future and where we're heading." Her eyes lit up like slot machine jackpots. Dollar signs practically dancing in her pupils. She sat up straighter, probably already planning the engagement ring Instagram post. "I think it's time we got serious about building something together. Something real and lasting. Are you?" She looked at my hands expectantly for a ring box, barely able to contain her excitement. "I'm talking about becoming real partners. Equal partners. Sharing responsibilities. Building wealth together. Actually functioning as a team instead of this one-sided arrangement we've had." The excitement faded faster than her fake tan in summer. Her face went from Christmas morning to tax audit in about 3 seconds. "What do you mean exactly?" "I mean you start paying your own rent. We split groceries, utilities, dinners out equally. We both contribute to savings for our actual future. Act like adults in an equal relationship where both people contribute something meaningful." Silence. Long, uncomfortable silence that stretched for what felt like an eternity. "Jake, you know my job doesn't pay that much. Then get a better job. You've got a college degree and 3 years of experience." "It's not that simple. I'm building my brand, networking, positioning myself for bigger opportunities." Building her brand. By posting selfies and spending my money. "I make almost 3 times what you do," I continued. "I don't mind covering more of the big expenses, but you need to contribute something beyond just existing." "I contribute plenty. I support you emotionally. I make this place feel like home. When? When was the last time you asked about my work, my goals, my stress levels?" She opened her mouth, then closed it. We both knew the answer was never. "This is ridiculous," she finally said. "You never had a problem with our arrangement before, because I thought it was temporary. I thought you were working towards something bigger. Instead, you've been treating me like your personal bank account." "That's not true. Madison, you literally called me your financial safety net." "I was joking." "Were you joking when you said you planned to quit your job after we got married? Joking when you said I make enough for both of us?" Her face went red, caught in her own words like a financial fraud getting audited. "Fine," she snapped. "Maybe I did say those things. So what? That's what relationships are. Partners supporting each other. Supporting, yes. Subsidizing completely, no, Ising. I'm not your sugar daddy. Wrong thing to say. She went absolutely nuclear. Sugar daddy? Sugar daddy? You think I'm some kind of escort? I think you're someone who expects financial benefits without offering anything meaningful in return. I offer plenty. I'm beautiful. I'm fun. I make you look good when we go out. You make me look good. Yes. Do you see the way other guys look at me? They're jealous. You're punching way above your weight with me, and you know it. And there it was. Her true opinion of me. I was some desperate loser who should be grateful she let me pay for her lifestyle. The fight escalated from there. She brought up every insecurity, every flaw, every reason I should feel lucky to have her. I just sat there, letting her reveal exactly who she really was underneath the pretty exterior. You're not exactly a catch, Jake. You're boring. You work too much. You have no style. Most guys would kill to have a girlfriend like me. Then go find one of those guys. That stopped her mid-rant. What? If I'm such a loser and you're such a prize, go find someone who appreciates you properly. Shouldn't be hard, right? She stared at me, probably calculating whether this was a bluff she could call. Maybe I will. Good luck with that. That night, she stayed at her friend Ashley's place. Came back the next morning expecting me to apologize, beg her to come back, promise to return to the old arrangement. Instead, I'd changed the Wi-Fi password and had her spare key deactivated. Jake, we need to talk. We talked. You made your position crystal clear. I was upset. I didn't mean... You meant every single word. And honestly, it was refreshing. Finally got to see what you really think of me. She tried tears. Tried anger. Tried seduction. I just shrugged and went back to my laptop. Tony found the whole thing absolutely hilarious. Bro, she's about to discover what the real world actually costs. This is gonna be better than any reality show. He was right. But the real entertainment was just getting started. Madison moved out within a week, probably expecting me to panic and beg her to come back. Instead, I helped her pack and even paid for a moving truck. Kill them with kindness, right? You're really going to let me walk away? She asked, standing in the doorway with her collection of overpriced purses. I'm not letting you do anything. You're choosing to leave because I asked you to be an equal partner. This is insane. You're throwing away 3 years over money. You threw away 3 years the moment you called me your financial safety net instead of your boyfriend. She left with tears in her eyes, but I knew they weren't for me. They were for the lifestyle she was losing. Meanwhile, my life immediately improved. No more random Venmo requests. No more expensive dinners she barely ate. No more shopping trips for investment pieces. I was saving almost $3,800 a month. Tony suggested we celebrate by going to this upscale restaurant Madison always wanted to try, but I'd avoided because of the prices. Dude, you can actually afford this stuff now, he laughed, ordering an expensive entree. Remember when you were stressed about buying groceries? Now look at you. He was absolutely right. For the first time in years, I wasn't constantly calculating expenses in my head. But the real upgrade was reconnecting with Sarah. She'd stayed in town a few extra days, and we'd been hanging out as friends. Smart conversation, actual shared interests, someone who insisted on splitting every check without making it a political statement. Madison really did a number on you, Sarah observed over dinner at a place she'd chosen and insisted on paying half the bill for. How so? You keep apologizing for existing. Apologizing for your job, your interests, your opinions, like you're grateful someone tolerates you. She was absolutely right. Madison had spent 3 years making me feel like I should be thankful for her attention. That's not normal, Jake. Good partners build each other up. They don't tear each other down to maintain control. Sarah had this way of explaining psychological concepts that made everything click into place. Turns out I'd been in a financially abusive relationship and was too naive to recognize the signs. Meanwhile, Tony was feeding me intel about Madison's situation through mutual friends. The reports were extremely satisfying. She'd moved back in with her roommate Ashley, who was apparently getting tired of covering Madison's share of expenses. Her car had been repossessed because she'd been 3 months behind on payments I'd been covering. She'd picked up extra shifts at work but was struggling with actually having to, work for her money. Ashley's complaining that Madison keeps asking to borrow money, Tony reported with obvious glee. Apparently, she's been telling people you were financially abusive and controlling. Controlling? Yeah, saying you manipulated her with money. Real rich coming from someone who literally called you her financial safety net. The projection was absolutely impressive. I was financially abusive for asking her to pay her own bills. But the best part was seeing her try to replace me. Through social media, because of course she overshared everything, I watched her go on dates with various guys. Each one lasted exactly long enough for them to realize she expected them to fund her lifestyle. There was Brad the personal trainer, who stopped texting after she suggested he pay for her gym membership. Kevin the attorney who disappeared when she ordered $180 worth of food on their first date. David the finance guy who blocked her, after she asked him to cover her credit card payment on date 3. "She's burning through dudes faster than you used to burn through your paycheck," Tony observed with scientific accuracy. Meanwhile, Sarah and I were taking things slow, but there was definitely something developing. Someone who appreciated intelligence over bank account balances. Who contributed to conversations instead of just waiting for her turn to talk about herself? Who had ambitions beyond becoming a kept woman? The contrast was absolutely stark. But Madison wasn't finished yet. She still had one more card to play, and it was about to backfire spectacularly in ways that would make Tony and me laugh for months. 3 months after Madison moved out, I was living my absolute best life. Got promoted to senior analyst with an $18,000 raise after successfully managing a major client portfolio that netted the firm substantial returns. Dating Sarah seriously and actually enjoying every moment of it. Had real savings for the first time since college. Over $15,000 in my emergency fund and another $8,000 in investments. Even started looking at buying a house, something that would have been completely impossible while funding Madison's lifestyle. Tony and I were grabbing lunch at our favorite spot when my phone exploded with messages from Madison. "Jake, I need to talk to you. It's urgent. Please call me back. It's really important. I made a huge mistake. Everything's falling apart. I miss us." Tony read over my shoulder, grinning like he'd won the lottery. "Oh snap, here we go. The princess is circling back to the ATM. This is gonna be good." I didn't respond immediately. Let her sweat for a few hours while I finished my quarterly reports, and enjoyed watching her desperation mount with each additional text. When I finally called that evening, she was crying. Real tears, not the manipulative ones she'd used during our fight. "Jake, thank goodness you called back. I really need help. What's wrong now? Everything's completely falling apart. I lost my job last week. Ashley kicked me out because I couldn't pay my share of rent. My car got repossessed yesterday. I'm staying at my mom's place and she's absolutely furious with me. She keeps asking how I got into such a mess." Madison's mom lived in a tiny 2-bedroom apartment an hour outside the city in a working-class neighborhood. Going from my luxury downtown apartment to her mom's cramped couch had to be absolutely brutal for someone with her massive ego and image obsession. "I'm sorry to hear that. I was wrong, okay? I was horrible to you. I took you for granted, and I realize now how good I had it. How good she had it. Not how good we had it. Everything was still entirely about her. I want to fix this," she continued. "I want us to try again. Madison, I know I was spoiled. I know I didn't appreciate you properly. But I've learned my lesson. I'll be completely different." "How different?" "I'll get a better job. I'll pay my own bills. I'll be the girlfriend you actually deserved." It sounded good, almost convincing. But then she dropped the real reason for her call. "I just need a little help getting back on my feet. Maybe I could stay with you for a few weeks while I figure things out. Just until I find a new job and get stable again." And there it was. She wasn't sorry for how she'd treated me. She was sorry she'd lost her meal ticket. "I'm seeing someone else," I told her. Silence. Then, "The Asian girl from your Instagram? Her name is Sarah. And yes, Jake, you can't be serious. We have history. We have 3 years together. What does she have that I don't? A career, self-respect, the ability to pay for her own coffee. This is about money again? I told you I'd change completely. It was never just about money, Madison. It was about basic respect. You didn't see me as a partner. You saw me as a resource to be exploited. That's not true. You literally called me your financial safety net. Your exact words. I was young and stupid. You're 25, not 15, and you haven't learned anything. Even now, you're not apologizing for how you treated me. You're just upset that you lost your benefits package." The conversation devolved from there. She cycled through every manipulation tactic in the handbook. Tears, anger, guilt trips, promises to change, threats to hurt herself, claims that I was her one true love. But the funniest part came at the very end. "You know what, Jake? You're making a huge mistake. I'm a catch. Guys are already sliding into my DMs wanting to date me. Great. Date them. I will. I'll find someone way better than you. Someone who knows how to treat a woman properly. Good luck with that endeavor." She hung up angry, but called back 20 minutes later with a completely different approach. "I talked to Ashley. She said I should fight for us. That real love is worth fighting for." Is Ashley paying your bills now? This isn't about money. Everything with you is about money. Even this conversation. You didn't miss me until you lost your free ride. I hung up and blocked her number on everything. Tony was absolutely dying when I told him the whole story. Bro, she really thought she could just waltz back and pick up where she left off. Like you'd been sitting around waiting for her to grace you with her presence again. But the story gets so much better and more satisfying. A week later, Sarah and I were at dinner at this amazing steakhouse. The same one Madison had always begged me to take her to, but I'd avoided because of the 200 plus per person price tag. When I spotted Madison across the restaurant, she was with some older guy, probably mid-40s, looking uncomfortable as heck. He was wearing a cheap, ill-fitting suit and checking his phone constantly while she talked at him non-stop, clearly trying way too hard to impress him. Sarah noticed my expression change. "That's her, isn't it?" "Yeah, that's Madison. She looks absolutely desperate." She absolutely did. The confident, entitled princess I dated had been replaced by someone who was trying way too hard. Too much makeup caked on, dressed too tight and too revealing, laughing way too loud at her date's terrible jokes. The desperation was practically radiating off her. "Should we leave?" Sarah asked thoughtfully. "Nah, we were here first, and I'm enjoying my steak." Madison saw me halfway through our meal. The look on her face when she realized I was with Sarah was absolutely priceless. Pure panic mixed with jealousy, desperation, and what looked like genuine shock that I'd moved on so completely. She excused herself from her clearly uncomfortable date and walked over to our table with fake confidence. "Jake, hi there." "Madison, and you must be Sarah." Fake smile plastered on, eyes full of pure venom and calculation. "Nice to meet you," Sarah said politely, completely unbothered by the obvious hostility. "Jake's told me so much about you, though he left out how pretty you are." The passive-aggressive compliment delivered with practiced precision. "Thank you," Sarah replied, staying completely calm and composed. Madison lingered awkwardly, clearly wanting to start some kind of dramatic scene. But Sarah's calm confidence and my complete indifference shut down whatever manipulation she'd planned. "Well, I should get back to my date. Craig's actually taking me to the Bahamas next week for a romantic getaway." Sure he was. I'd bet money that trip would never happen. As she walked away, Sarah shook her head with amusement. "She's exactly like you described. I almost feel sorry for that poor guy she's with." "Don't. He'll figure it out soon enough when she starts asking him to pay for things." 2 months later, Tony forwarded me a social media post from one of Madison's friends. Apparently, Craig had dumped her after she'd racked up $4,200 on his credit card during their romantic getaway, which had actually happened, much to my surprise. She was back on her mom's couch within days, working at a retail job making minimum wage, and her Instagram had devolved into bitter inspirational quotes about toxic men and knowing your worth. The transformation was remarkable. Her feed went from luxury lifestyle posts to desperate motivational quotes and subtle hints about needing financial help. The comments from her followers told the whole story. People were starting to see through her act. The last I heard through our mutual friend network, she was dating some 22-year-old community college kid who worked at a cell phone store and still lived with his parents. Someone young and naive enough to think her expensive tastes made her classy instead of entitled. Someone who probably thought he'd won the lottery by landing someone who looked like her, not realizing he'd actually signed up to be financially drained.